Welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of Darkest Night.
We've still got lots of cool stuff available on our website. If you want to support us, stop by, pick up some coffee cups or pillows or a copy of my book, The Caretaker's Eye. It's a cool, scary, horrifying children's book that you shouldn't show to your kids. So
Yeah, now that Dumber and Dumber have given you their review, let's move on to Blue Apron. Is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. Blue Apron achieves this by supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs.
Blue Apron saves a lot of time. I mean, you can make all of these meals for 40 minutes or less. I mean, you seem like a man on the go, correct?
What are you, an idiot? I'm on a fucking radio, so let's move it on.
Blue Apron also has established partnerships with over 150 local farms, fishers, and ranchers across the United States, and as a result, can deliver to 99% of the continental U.S. and 99.5% of food deserts.
Yeah, food deserts. Wow, anybody in California near one of those?
Look, there are people in Idaho, Iowa, who don't get access to a Whole Foods or any of these things, you know?
Yeah, okay, all right. Mutt and Jeff, well, we're done with you. Listen, Blue Apron has some of my favorites in their upcoming meals, such as a spiced zucchini enchiladas with creamy lime and tomato rice. And an elote-style vegetable tostada with summer squash, poblano peppers, and cilantro rice.
And the ingredients, right? They're incredible.
Wow, that's all you got. Not all ingredients are created equal. Now, fresh, high-quality ingredients make a real difference. And so it's important to know where your food comes from.
Hence the farms and the fisheries. And all of this is for less than $10 per person per meal.
very affordable and very tasty.
Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/darkestnight.
That's blueapron.com/darkestnight.
Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Roth Lobdow Center for Advanced Research. Project Cyclops, Day 14, about to begin. Entering the laboratory now. Oh, hi.
Thank God it's you who was here early today. This would have been much more difficult otherwise.
Hi. I am a little early. What? Are you the guy that brings us our heads?
Yes, and I'm supposed to help you.
Help me? Help me how?
First things first. You'll have 2 heads today. Do not record any of these heads. This first head is for you and Dr. Ricketts only. I will return an hour after he retires for the evening with another head that you will do on your own.
Okay, better get to work then. Not bad, Katie.
Good morning, Katie. What a surprise to see you here so early.
You know me, on a quest for knowledge.
Right.
Everything's all set up whenever you're ready.
You're all ready to just begin the day? You don't want to talk about what happened yesterday?
I see where you're coming from, Dr. Ricketts. My conspiracies can get a bit over the top. I will try to contain myself in the future.
Now then, that seems more than copacetic to me.
Would you like to do the honors?
Project Cyclops trial. 6 Kappa 1. Timestamp is registering correctly, initiating playback in 3, 2, 1. Initiate.
How is she?
As well as she could be, I suppose. We've had some good days since we started the injections.
Not too many, though, it seems.
Better than we could have hoped for with most early onset Alzheimer's patients.
But still not good enough.
Those orchids are beautiful. Are they from the garden?
Yes. I was going to bring some forget-me-nots, but that seemed a little bit too on the nose.
Nurse Steve let himself be amused by the remark. It wasn't so often his boss was in a joking mood. Vivian made her way over to the bedridden patient and sat down beside her. As she stroked her hand, the woman began to come to. Nurse Steve took the orchids from Vivian.
I'll go find a vase for these.
Oh, it's you again.
Hello, Miss Lang.
Please don't be so formal. It's Nora.
I'm surprised you remembered me.
Of course I remember you, Veronica.
Vivian deflated as she realized that Nora's progress really wasn't further along. She let go of Nora's hand and crossed the room to where a dizzying array of medicine bottles, needles, and hospital accoutrements sat locked behind a primitive case. Vivian took out her keys, immediately finding the right one, and unlocked the cabinet.
Are my sons coming to visit me soon?
Vivian stopped cold in her rummaging.
No, it's just me tonight.
What are you looking for?
Oh, we're just gonna give you a little boost and see how you feel after that.
I'm quite tired at the moment. Can it wait until tomorrow?
Why wait when you could get better right now? Here, give me your hand.
Vivian gently took Nora's arm. After quickly cleaning the area with rubbing alcohol, she injected her with the serum. She put the tools down and once again clasped Nora's hand.
We're on the verge of a breakthrough. I just know it. I want to help you, Nora. I really do.
You're so very kind to me.
Well, you are the inspiration for my life's work. I mean, my father started the company and all, but I was never really into all this science stuff, even after he passed and left it all to me. But then I found you, and I realized...
You had a purpose in life larger than yourself. I remember.
Nora squeezed Vivian's hand. Vivian smiled sweetly as she saw the medication starting to take effect.
What else do you remember now? Let's see. Tell me your birthday.
August 27th, 1970.
Your favorite season?
Spring.
Mine too. Favorite color?
Green.
Okay. Favorite food?
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs, really?
I used to eat them at the park with my mother when I was a child. She would take me every Friday afternoon so I could see the ducks. I'd always break off a little piece of my bun and feed it to them. Now that I think about it, I don't even know if I loved the hot dogs so much as I did spending time with her.
Well, that must have been nice.
What?
But the time you spent with her.
With who? What are you talking about?
Nora ripped her hand away from Vivian's.
I'm sorry, who are you? What is this place?
Nora, relax.
But Nora wouldn't. She grew increasingly erratic as she started to slip from lucidity. She frantically tugged at the tubes in her arms, screaming as Vivian tried to calm her down.
No, I don't know you. Get away from me.
No, please, I'm here to help you.
Nurse Steve rushed in.
Not again!
He quickly set the vase of orchids down and immediately tried to restrain Nora. She thrashed and kicked, knocking the vase right off the counter. Vivian grabbed a syringe and once again injected her. Nora seemed to calm down immediately, allowing herself to be put back into bed. Nurse Steve cleaned up the shattered glass, setting the naked orchids on the counter.
There now. How does that feel?
Much better. I'm sorry, I don't know what just happened.
It's just a symptom of your illness. That's why you're here. We're trying to cure you.
Nora stared forlornly out the big hospital window.
How long have I been here?
Quite some time. But we're getting closer. I can feel it.
Do my sons know I'm here?
Yes.
Have they visited me?
No.
Why not? Why haven't they come?
Vivian gave Nurse Steve a nod, and he once again left them alone.
Your sons, they haven't been back since they left you in our care. They said it was too hard to see you like this.
They said that?
I'm sorry, Nora. But you have me now, and I'm going to take care of you just like I have been.
I can't believe they abandoned me. Their own mother.
Yes, well, familial relations can be complicated. But we are humans after all, and many times we do terrible things as a matter of self-preservation.
Nora marinated on that last sentence. Vivian noticed.
What is it?
Nothing. I thought No, never mind. It's gone.
Do you remember the first time you started experiencing symptoms? When your memory really started slipping? I realize that might be a silly question to ask someone with your affliction, but I'd like to take advantage of your state right now, while you're still with us.
I must have been in my 30s. Shortly after the birth of my second son, I kept losing things around the house. My keys, his milk bottle. When the boys were a bit older, I'd forget to take them to their play dates or pick them up. Sometimes I'd forget their names completely. The other parents stopped trusting me with their kids, and eventually my children had no one left to play with. I felt so guilty.
I can imagine.
Did you spend a lot of time with your father?
Not really. My father always had someone do all the dirty dad work for him. He'd take me on the occasional trip, but it was never a fun vacation. Usually they just ended up being some twisted lesson about life that he wanted to teach me. And I wasn't allowed to talk about my feelings because he said that for a scientist, there was only room for facts, not emotions. So I mostly talked to our driver, who always took me to school, my friends' houses, my croquet matches.
Croquet?
Father thought it was classy, and he wouldn't settle for me playing what he referred to as peasant sports, stuff that got you dirty like softball or soccer. I did end up loving it, though. In fact, I still have my first mallet.
Vivian trailed off as she reveled in her own fond memories, but quickly snapped out of it.
Anyway, what about your husband? Where is he?
Never married. Both of the boys' fathers asked, but I was never interested in a long-term commitment, not with them at least. The only people I wanted to spend the rest of my life with were my kids. After they were born, they were the only things in this world I truly cared for.
Vivian approached the window overlooking the rest of the center. Various office lights were still lit, but most had gone dark for the night.
That's so nice to hear, Nora. I'm glad you were able to have them in your life as long as you did. They were very lucky.
Who was?
Vivian sighed as she realized she lost her again.
Oh, damn it. Nurse Steve!
Who's that? What are you talking about? What is all this?
Okay, just calm down. We're gonna get you all fixed up again.
No! Get your hands off me!
Nora sprung from the bed, eyeing a shard of glass on the floor Nurse Steve had missed during his cleanup. She quickly grabbed it and swung it around wildly. Vivian tried to subdue her, but Nora slashed her in the face.
Shit!
Vivian pressed her hand against her cheek. Her fingertips were sprinkled with blood. Nora took the diversion as a moment to escape. She quickly swung the door and ran out. Vivian immediately gave chase.
Nora!
Nurse Steve quickly caught up with a panicked Vivian.
What happened?
She attacked me.
Why doesn't the serum work as well on her as it does with the others?
I'm not sure. Maybe there's an issue with the transmitter.
Don't overdo it.
But Vivian never liked being told what to do.
Where were you?
I'm sorry, the courier came for his pickup and
All right, never mind. We have to get her before she hurts herself or someone else. You take the West Wing, I'll take the East Wing.
Got it.
The two split up as they searched for where Nora could be. Vivian headed to the empty cafeteria. She hit the light switch, the harsh fluorescent lights flickering as they warmed up.
Nora? Are you in here?
Vivian scanned the room, but there was no sign of her. Suddenly, the sound of distant, scurrying footsteps emitted from the hallway. Vivian immediately turned and ran toward the sound. But when she re-entered the hallway, it was completely silent, except for some faint whispering she could hear.
Nora, please let me help you.
Vivian followed the whispers, which led her to a woman's bathroom. The pristine whiteness of the bright walls nearly blinded her as she entered from the darkened hallway. A row of stalls with closed doors lay before her. The whispering was still faint, but clearly coming from this room. Vivian peeked underneath, but saw no feet. She checked the first stall. Empty. She checked the second. Nothing. She checked the third and found it locked.
Nora, if you're in there, please, it's time to come out already.
Relieved, Vivian slowly pushed the stall door. She could see part of Nora's frame crouched on the toilet as she opened it.
Okay, time to go.
Suddenly, Nora lunged at Vivian, knocking her backwards and escaping once again. Vivian caught herself on a nearby sink, grabbing it desperately.
Jesus Christ!
Vivian collected herself and once again made her way after Nora. As she ran down another hallway, she spotted something on the floor. Drops of blood.
Nora!
Vivian followed the drops until she came across a bloody tube. It seemed as though Nora had succeeded in ripping out her IV. The remnants led her to a staircase that had access all the way to the roof. Vivian quickly ran up the stairs and burst through the doors.
Nora, are you up here?
Vivian could hear the sound of crying as she made her way across the roof. She followed it until she found a profoundly confused and upset Nora, crouching behind an exhaust pipe.
Hi, Nora.
Oh, hello.
Nora dried her tears and stood up before Vivian.
Could you help me? I'm so lost.
Of course. But first...
Vivian grabbed Nora's arm, this time a little less gently, and injected her once more.
Ow! That hurts!
Shh, it's okay. Just give it a second.
Nora blinked hard as she observed her surroundings again, seemingly lucid.
Well, this is quite embarrassing. How did I get all the way up here? Oh my.
Nora gently cupped Vivian's face, wiping some of the blood away with her thumb.
What happened to you, dear? Are you hurt?
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Did I do that to you?
Vivian moved away from Nora, suddenly uncomfortable with her physical touch.
Please, let me help clean you
No!
up.
It's really okay.
Come now, don't be silly. Look at all that blood.
Nora reached for Vivian again, but this time Vivian grabbed her hands and shoved her away.
I said no!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, stop saying you're sorry. You don't even know what you're apologizing for.
I do. I do know. I hurt you. I'm sorry.
I can barely feel it.
Nora shook her head as a flood of thoughts entered her brain. She grabbed her skull, like it was physically causing her pain.
I've hurt so many people. I keep hurting people. It's all I seem to do. My boys, my parents, now you. And I can't even remember. Everyone else is stuck with the pain I caused, and I can't even remember.
But you're remembering now.
There's so much. It's happening so fast.
Nora, I need you to try really hard, okay? Think. Before you became sick, before your sons were born, what else do you remember? High school, your teenage years? It's the only time in your life we've never spoken about, and I need to know what you remember from then. Anything that stands out. Please, before the medication wears off.
Nora thought long and hard about what Vivian had asked her. Then she caught a glimmer of specific memory. Something was coming.
I remember going to the movies with my boyfriend Paul. I don't remember what we saw, but I know that he took me for a milkshake after. And then we did it in his car. My first time.
And then?
Nora placed her hand on her stomach, her eyes welling up with tears.
I got pregnant.
Keep going.
Paul dumped me shortly after. Oh, I was so heartbroken.
And the baby?
I had it. Her.
And what do you remember about her?
She...
Nora's face twisted into a scowl.
She was a hideous little thing. I couldn't even believe she was mine. So alien-like. so needy. I was 17, and the only thing I knew was that I didn't want her. But my parents made me keep her.
Vivian winced as the words made their way into her ears.
They helped me raise her for a time, telling everyone she was my accidental sister. And all she did was cry and cry and cry. I couldn't take it. They resented me for being so irresponsible, and in turn, I hated her.
Then what?
When I was 20, my parents made me move out with the baby. But I couldn't take care of her on my own. I just couldn't do it. And I didn't want to.
What did you do with her?
There was a church a few miles out. I was going to leave her there, but I didn't want to risk them seeing me. So I left her in the nearby woods on an old tree stump.
Just like that?
I knew they'd find her eventually. Lord knows she cried loud enough. But I had to leave. I just had to. And I was finally able to close that chapter and move on with my life. When I was finally ready to have children again, I did. 2 beautiful boys.
Vivian stomped her foot, her rage no longer able to be contained.
Want nothing to do with you.
What?
Your sons! They abandoned you, surely you remember that now? Again? Isn't it so ironic?
Vivian slapped herself hard across the face.
You give up one child who did love you, who did want you, only to be cast aside by your other children who couldn't give 2 shits.
No, that's not.
Oh, but it is. That baby's father was wealthy, yes, but money can't replace love, and there was no love to be had in that house. Do you want to know what else happened to that child?
No.
Her siblings abused her every chance they got. Her brother constantly telling her she didn't matter, didn't belong, and her cruel sister torturing her for her own pleasures. Every single day was some new and horrible surprise.
Vivian was moving closer to Nora, becoming more unhinged with every step.
Eventually, she moved into a ratty old apartment, far away from the pain, only to realize that she was finally free but completely alone. Is that what you wanted for your baby girl? Or did you not even think about her once you started over with your brand new life?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Of course you didn't know. And not only didn't you know, you didn't even care. You never looked for her. You never asked how she was. You never even bothered to find out if she was alive.
Nora stared at Vivian, a look of horror creeping its way onto her face.
Well, guess what, Mommy? I'm alive and well, no thanks to you!
Vivian.
Nora slumped to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably.
You're right. You're right. I was so young and stupid. I should have never.
Never what?
Had you! All this pain. I could have saved both of us from it. And now look where I am. Trapped in a hospital, being forced to remember all the things I was lucky enough to forget.
So that's your greatest regret then? Having me?
Yes.
Vivian took a deep breath and glared at her mother. The silence was stagnant between them.
I just want to forget you again. Please. No more medications, no more injections. Please just let me forget.
There's a simple way to do that. A way you can erase all the memories, all the pain,
I'll do anything.
Vivian stared fiercely at the woman who was desperate to release herself from all of her painful memories. Her heartbreaks, her family falling apart, her only daughter's existence.
Go on to the ledge.
Nora climbed up, the breeze blowing through her hospital gown. She looked down below at the courtyard concrete.
You really want to forget it all?
More than anything.
Fine. Then this is goodbye, Mother.
Thank you.
Now jump.
With that final command, Nora let herself fall from the ledge. Vivian walked to the ledge and peered over. Below she could see the bloody outline of her dying mother, convulsing on the ground below. Nurse Steve approached breathlessly from behind, viewing the same scene.
Oh, dear God!
God had nothing to do with this.
I guess I should go take care of that.
Dispose of it properly.
Nurse Steve nodded and turned to leave, but stopped.
Vivian, are you okay?
Vivian was not okay, but it was not in her character to ever admit that. Vivian's adoptive father had drilled that into her head from a very, very early age.
Only room for facts, not emotions.
What was that?
Nothing, Steve! Now dispose of it!
Right. Of course, I'll go. Get on that situation right now.
Vivian looked around, making sure she was alone. Then, as she stared down at her mother's nearly lifeless body once more, a tear escaped from her eye. And multiple stories below, as Nora Lang, Vivian's biological mother, took her very last breath, Vivian finally let a tear fall for her.
Wow. I can't believe it.
That this drug is being tested as an Alzheimer's treatment? Yes, quite fascinating.
I mean, about Vivian, I can't imagine how difficult that must have been to hear from her own mother. And then to tell her to jump.
You know, Vivian doesn't put too much stock in her relationships. Besides, wouldn't you have done the same?
What? No, of course not. I could never tell someone to kill themselves, especially not my own mother.
Even if that person was the root of all your pain and suffering?
Their death wouldn't erase any of that.
How do you know? You can't possibly come to that conclusion without first testing the hypothesis. Every scientist knows that.
I guess.
And that's the problem.
Another person potentially dosed with the same drug, another Project Cyclops that actually ended when that individual passed away.
Now that's an observation I can agree with, presuming this is the same drug, which, again, we're not 100% sure.
We probably shouldn't discuss what we just saw with anyone, right?
I would definitely agree with that, Ms. Reed.
Okay, good.
If you can't wait to listen to the next episode of Darkest Night, go to Shudder.com. Shudder is a new kind of streaming video service devoted to the best horror movies available from around the world. On Shudder, you can listen to Darkest Night ad-free, a week early, in lossless sound quality, and even receive exclusive access to bonus content like our behind-the-scenes podcast, Talkest Night. For a free month, go to Shudder.com and use the offer code Darkest Night. That's Shudder.com, offer code Darkest Night.